Hello everyone, it's that time of year again. We are now just 5 days removed from the first day at Cheltenham Festival 2013. Can't believe it's been a year since we did these last videos. Last year we had a pretty good Cheltenham. If you'll actually have a look through my uploads, you'll see some huge prize winners we got last year, and quite a few across the day, over the 4 days you should say. So fingers crossed we have another good go this year. I've left it a bit later doing the videos this year because there seems to be a lot more double entries and treble entries where horses are being entered in all sorts of different races. So this one hopefully we'll be picking horses that are likely to run. I've been scouring the racing press as well to see where we go from. So this is the video for day one, and then tomorrow will be day 2, 3, 4, following on and such like that really. So as always, the opening race of day one is the Supreme Novice Hurdle. Won by some great horses in the past, and this year the short price favourite after his amazing win in the Betfair Hurdle is My Tent or Yours. And rightfully so. The performance in the Betfair was outstanding, and after the sod loss of Darlan, there was talk about this guy going to the Champion Hurdle, but they've decided to go down the Supreme Novice route. But there's a couple of things, other than this very, very short price for a 19-horse field of 13 to 8, that's put me off this horse. It did have a very hard race in the Betfair, and the horses behind him that day that have come out haven't done that great. Another thing is there's been some real short price horses overturning this race in recent years. We look at the likes of Dungwib, we look at the likes of Q-Card. It's been an absolute graveyard for well fancied horses, but then again there's been some brilliant horses come out, the likes of your Istabrax, even Like a Butterfly, another one who sadly died. She died a few weeks back. Another thing as well, if it comes up good to soft, My Tent or Yours between Christmas and New Year did get beat at 4 to 7 on good to soft ground, and all of his winning has been on heavy ground. So at 13 to 8 and a big field, I just don't know if I'd be taking that. But the only way to think if it's worth taking him on is to look at the rivals, and the biggest rival in the market is Jeski, trained by Jessica Harrington over in Ireland, which has now also been bought by JP McManus. So the top two in the market both owned by JP. And as I said, the likes that have won it in the past, Like a Butterfly, Istabrack, they were also JP's horses, so he clearly likes the race. Jeski's done absolutely nothing wrong in Ireland. It was considered a shock when he beat Champagne Fever over hurdles early on in the season, but he's just gone on to prove that everything's been going great guns since then. The two question marks on Jeski here is, one, the hill, he's never been here, will he get up it? And two, all of his main going seems to be on heavy ground, so that's something you have to take into consideration. My idea of the winner at the moment is also trained in Ireland, but it's trained in Ireland by the Willie Mullins yard, and that is Una 2. He's come in from France as a very, very highly thought of horse, and he's done nothing but batter everyone he's run against so far. Okay, it's nothing of this calibre, but everything he's been asked for he's done, and you literally couldn't ask for any more of the horse. Interestingly enough, Willie Mullins at a Twitter feed on Racing Post has actually said that this horse will be better on better going, which he's likely to get here, not like the bogs he's been running at Ireland. At 8 to 1, that rate's a very, very good each way bet in my eyes. Another one up there in the market is Dodging Bullets, and rightfully so. He run an absolute screamer in the Christmas Hurdle behind Darlan, but they're forgetting obviously the ill-fated Darlan because he sadly died in his next run after that. But the horses that didn't fire that day, the likes of Countrywide Flame, hasn't really gone on and done it again. So the form of that, yeah, there is some question marks I would say about that form, but saying that, he's run well at the course before, so I wouldn't necessarily deter you that much. Champagne Fever was one of the main horses we tipped up on these videos last year and won the Champion Bumper at 16 to 1. He started his hurdle campaign with a very gutsy win. He was then turned over by Jeski and then regained the winning thread. He did one very, very below par run, but was found out to be very poorly indeed after that. He's bounced back since then and won again. Now, the big thing about this horse is we know he stays up the hill because he's won the Champion Bumper. The form may not seem great, but this horse is being touted up as a potential RSA horse next year. I know that for a matter of fact. We've spoken to certain people. So, you know, there's every chance he could do it. He's 14 to 1, and he's got a rate as a chance to finish in the first 4. I just think the form he has is slightly suspect, and especially because a lot of his winning again has been on heavy ground. Now, one interesting horse at a huge price here is Cause of Causes, who's been running in all the big handicaps, but got hampered and run a very good race over the course and distance earlier on in the season. He was off the par of it a few times after that, but that's been on heavy ground, and coming back into the better ground here, he's run well at the course before. He's 28 to 1. That could be a very interesting bet indeed. But if you want me to put through a 3 here, I would say I'd be looking at Una 2 at 8 to 1, followed by My Tent or Yours. I think he'll come second. I just got a feeling he might get overturned, followed by Dodging Bullets, who I think at course 1 will stand him in good stead. The next race is the Arkle, which is very interesting. Simon Sigg rightfully is 4-6 favourite after 3 walkovers, basically, beating the likes of Hinterland in the process, so I suppose it's not that bad, though Hinterland has been a serial disappointment this year. A couple of things that worry me about this, other than the 4-6 price. Simon Sigg, he missed an engagement a few weeks back because of a far from clear tracheal wash. A lot of the time, I think you've got to be 100% to be going to Cheltenham, and to have that as a setback so close, I suppose you'd say, to Cheltenham, and he was on antibiotics, and then you've got to get over that. Think of it like a human, it can take you a couple of weeks to get over it. And another thing is, he missed a racecourse gallop at Newbury twice because of frost recently, so the work that he wanted to do was only done at home. Now, yeah, he should win this on paper, but 4-6 is very, very, very tight price. The horse I like here is Donald McCain's Overturn, who once again, and like Simon Sigg, has done nothing but impress over fences. An absolute natural. They must think a lot of his jumping because they took him to Sandown with those very tricky railway fences to make his debut over fences, which suggests they knew he'd take to him well, and he did. He's walked every race. The drying out ground will actually be in his favour, and he can go at the front. Now, Simon Sigg, if he never made a resemblance to the stake, but if he does, and he's even at 95%, the likes of Overturn here could give him a race and a half. The worry I have about Overturn is Arvika Legionnaire for Willie Mullins is in this race, and he is another out-and-out front runner. The problem is with Arvika, he's been very impressive twice, but he's also fallen twice, so you've got to take a huge leap of faith here, because some of these fences at Cheltenham take a lot of jumping, and I think towards the end of the race, when the speed picks up and you've got the downhill fence before you turn in, this is really going to put Arvika's it's going to put his jumping under a lot of scrutiny here, and the Irish didn't have the best record. I know you've had the likes of Moscow Flyer and stuff like that in the Arkle, but he could run a good race. Captain Conan would have been right there for me, again for the Henderson Yard, but he was really disappointing at Sandown and looked laboured last time, but he did a great run over the course, so once again, you just don't know. With Captain Conan, he could turn it on the day, you just don't know. Again, if you're looking for a big horse, big price horse, Bailey Green's come over from Ireland. Now, Bailey Green was a serial winner at the start of the season. I think he racked up 5 or 6 on the bounce and then came second when massively upped in class. And I don't think he was beaten by a better horse necessarily. I think he was just absolutely shattered. They said at that time we're going to dust him off, give him a bit of a break and bring him back for the better ground. 25 to 1. Stranger things have happened. He's potentially a good horse. Whether he's Arkle standard though, I don't know. But if I was looking for a front three here, I would be going for Overturn from Simon Sigg with probably Captain Conan, because he does run on pretty well to finish the places. The next race is the JLT Chase, which is very tough because once again we've got a load of horses that entered many, many times. Though a long time ago, Cantlo was flagged up to me as a horse that's very, very well in and was being protected on a handicap mark for these chases. He's a very, very good jumper. He's 8 to 1 and as I said, I'm just purely going off the words I've had. He's got a great chance. Alfie Sherrin won at the festival last year, 10 to 1 again. The Grand National seems to be his main aim here. I think he would need heavy going, though. I'm still not 100% convinced of this horse on good ground because he is an out-and-out stayer. Quantitative Easy in 16 to 1 and the package at 14 have both won over the course before. They love Cheltenham and have won on better ground, so I can see those two running a great race in this one if they go in this. Once again, multiple entries, but if I was looking from 1, 2, 3, it would be Cantlo from the quantitative or from the package and Quantitative Ease if I was picking at this stage. The main race of day one is obviously the Champion Hurdle, and really interesting that the last 3 champions are all back here now, which is Binocular, Hurricane Fly and Rock on Ruby. Binocular made a late start to the season, and to say was given a tender ride by Tony McCoy behind Hurricane Fly was an understatement. He didn't actually get second. I was actually surprised how little effort McCoy put in on it. It's very Tony McCoy-like. The problem is I have with that form is that the second that day was 1,000 Stars, who ran next time and came practically last. And he hasn't been the horse that he was this year, 1,000 Stars. He had a very good season last year, but I think it's taken a lot out of him. Hurricane Fly is rightfully 7 to 4 favourite. Because he's been outstanding all season. Last year he came third in the champion hurdle, but Ruby Walsh is quoted as saying he was never happy at any stage of the race, and even when he won at Punchestown after that, he was never happy. But if you go back to the year before that, when he won, he proves that he goes well at the course. So if he's 100%, but this horse is notoriously fragile because he's missed festivals before because of injuries and not being 100%. But if he turns up 100%, this horse will take every bit of beating. I'm pretty confident of that. The main rival this year will come from Zarkanda, I think, for Paul Nicholls. He's done nothing but improve. He made his first start of the season last year with a huge weight in the Betfair Hurdle and won. He then came one place out the placings last year in the Champion Hurdle on his second start from there, but he had had a very tough race and he wasn't 100%. He then took a big fall at Aintree last year, so there was a lot of question marks going to him this year, thinking, will he be the same horse? But all he's done is improve all season, and he won at Cheltenham, beating the likes of Grand Douay and Rock on Ruby earlier this season, and looked very, very good doing it. He looked more of like a staying shite. He just kept on going, and obviously he won the Triumph, and went to the Champion Hurdle, which the likes of Catchett's done and won it in the past, and I think he's a lot better than Catchett, Zarkanda. And I think the drying ground will actually be in his favour as well, because he has got a very, very good turn of foot. A big piece of form that he has got, though. He beat another one of Paul Nicholls' horse, Prospect Wells, off top weight at Wincanton, and Prospect Wells 2 weeks ago went and won the National Spirit at Fontwell, a graded race, so that form is well and truly franked. Rock on Ruby was a fortunate winner at Doncaster last time, when obviously the horrific news that Darlan died in that fall. I actually watched the race live at the time, and I had Rock on Ruby, but it was a bit of a sour note for me there. But I just think last year it was a bit of a substandard Champion Hurdle, because, you know, Hurricane Fly wasn't right, others didn't perform or had hard races. To be honest though, Rock on Ruby, his first run at the course, he ran very well until one out and blew up behind Zarkanda, which was new to be needed, and he's gone well since then. The yard's on fire at the moment, the Harry Fry yard, and a lot of confidence in it, so we'll wait and see. Grand Douay has had his problems and proves he goes okay at the course before. The interesting thing though, Nicky Henderson's come out recently and said, oh, he needs another big piece of work. If you need another big piece of work a couple of weeks before the festival, that sets alarm bells off for me. If you're looking for a big price horse, Cotton Mill made his reappearance behind My Tentor Yours in the Betfair Hurdle and run an almighty race and finished in the places behind him. He was running a great race last year when I think he actually run out, or something went wrong. I can't remember what it was. 2 out. He's 20 to 1. He could run a great race there, but I just don't think he'll necessarily have the guns to handle the top three. At this moment, I would suggest in this one, Zarkanda, because you can back him each way at 5 to 1. I'd be taking him at the moment each way at 5 to 1 from Hurricane Fly and Rock on Ruby. The cross-country race is always interesting, and there's a couple of horses at massive prices, the Wedge Jeopardy, Double Dizzy, etc. And you'd never say don't back them for this race, because they seem to come alive at the cross-country, though there's some better horses in there. Balthasar King won the race last year and has won at Cheltenham already this year. So you clearly know he goes well. The drying grounds no problem at all, 6 to 1 to fair price. Outlaw Pete has also run very well around the course, as has Uncle Junior. The standards in these ones, Arabella Boy's favourite at the moment, though he had a bad experience at the course a couple of runs back, so that puts me off a bit. But the horse I'm going to flag up here was a horse who placed for us last year at 14 to 1 in the 4-miler, and that is Any Currency of Martin Keithley. He is just an out-and-out stayer, a really good jumper. He won first time out at Wincanton and was then running an absolute screamer of a race in the Beecher Chase, but unseated the rider because a horse fell in front of him. I was actually at Aintree that day, and he jinked from the horse, and the jockey just came out the side door. After that, he then ran in the Lincolnshire National with a huge weight and did well to come fourth. He was running on again at the end. The trip will be no problem. He's gone well around the course before. We've never seen how he is on a cross-country course, but if he takes to the course, he's the class horse of the race. He's on a very good mark, and at 20 to 1, I like those odds in a race like the cross-country. So we're 1, 2, 3 here. I think we're looking at Any Currency. I'll be backing at 20 to 1 from Balthazar King at 6 to 1 and Uncle Junior, because the Irish always have a good run in this race at 7 to 1. And then the final race on day one is the David Nicholson hurdle, the Mears hurdle. Quevega's going for it. Will she get the 5-timer, which will be absolutely brilliant? I hope she does, because obviously we're going to be robbed of big bucks and the likes this year. She had a setback earlier this year, I heard from a source, Quevega, which is always a bit of a worry, but the problem is, who's there to beat her? Kentford Grey Lady came second last year, but didn't even get her off the bridle. Kentford Grey Lady actually got turned over at a shortish price last time as well, but has been in good form this season. Un Artiste was brilliant winner at Cheltenham last year at 40-1, I think he was, and has done nothing wrong this year. I just don't know on the quicker ground if that horse will have the toe to go with Quevega. Well, Swing Bowl has been very, very impressive all the way through, but I don't think she's the class to go into this race. I just don't think so. So we're looking at Quevega here. Day 2 video coming soon. Many thanks.